So
What's that old
let's
saying, Joe? You have rules, and then you have to. One of the rules is knowing when to break the rule.
something like that. Yeah, yeah, I think so. So let's talk tech. Uh we have not talked about tech a whole lot, honestly, since the winter time, January, February. There's a reason for that, and there's a reason why we're talking about it again. So we have some new free research up on Seeking Alpha. Todd, I believe you identified five specific stocks in that research that you're especially optimistic about, but just generally speaking, it's safe to say tech's kind of coming around now, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the tech started sliding down our large, mid, and small cap sector rankings at early in the year, and it shifted below average. I think some point in April, but really the basket's been under distribution since early February. Kind of like we were just looking at the earlier, the Virgin Galactic chart and how it peaked in February. And I think if you look at most technology stocks, especially the high flying technology stocks, um, that's kind of when they were peaking out in that February time plan. And you're still in drawdown since then for those stocks. So, we have been below average for a couple few months. And I'm going to just, like you said, we did post some free research, the Seeking Alpha. We'll throw a link to the show notes so you can go to that. There's no paywall associated, I don't believe. I'm pretty sure you could just click on the link and go to it and read the article. But I'll go ahead and I'll share my screen again and just go over to the article on Seeking Alpha. You can find us by just, searching Limelight Alpha, Seeking Alpha, and it's technology stocks are skyrocketing, top stocks you can buy, right? Okay. And I want to go down here, Joe, and just scroll down to this chart right here, where it shows technology average score in our universe versus the universe since 2013. And you can see that, it's not abnormal or completely crazy that technology scores below average. It's done it before, it'll do it again, right? So 2014, it spent 5 months below. 2016, it spent 3 months below. 2019 into the end of 2018, where the market was weak, spent 2.5 months below. And then the question mark actually removed here because maybe we're back finally here, as you can see on the right-hand side, back to the average score. But it's been below really since, the beginning of the early in 2021, and then of course accelerating downward. And if you scroll up a little bit now on this article, you can see that we actually put the sector ranking as it stands right now for large cap. And yes, energy, REITs, and healthcare still at the top. But Joe, I've highlighted it. Technology right there, mid-pack.
Yep, that was in the basement as recently as I think 2 weeks ago. Had a
Yep.
had a red highlight next to it, and so now we're in the middle of the pack. And yeah, it's just from my perspective of seeing this every week for almost a year now. I think it's really interesting to see how consistently these different sectors will kind of cycle through on the leaderboard, and they'll work their way up, and then they'll pretty reliably work their way back down. We've seen that with energy. Basic materials was high earlier in the year, and now it's at the very bottom. So it's a very useful tool to just get a very basic high level idea of what sectors are doing
Yeah, and
best.
I'm sure we have subscribers out there that do ETF strategies that rotate very aggressively based on the sector rankings towards particular baskets. I use it more to kind of help me with my tilts. So if I want to be tilted slightly more towards energy, for example, the last 3 months than I am towards technology, or if I'm looking to add new stocks to my portfolio, like we talked last week about healthcare and how healthcare is strong scoring now. So I want to have more healthcare stocks in my portfolio. So I think it's a very useful tool, and you just going back, I mean, a lot of people just say, well, why don't you just buy? Yes, there are technology stocks that if they're forever names, that I've just held on to through this whole mess. But I think it's instructive to kind of, to your point, to look at what the returns have been for this basket. I don't think people may not realize just how painfully bad the returns have been in technology the last 3 months while it scored low in our ranking versus these other options. So I created this chart, and it's in this article that we linked to in the show notes. And you can see OIH was the energy service ETF since mid-February is up 24%. Joe, the technology ETF, XLK, is up 6%. So you're talking about a 16% roughly outperformance for energy service. XLE, which is the energy ETF, up 22%. The real estate investment trust, IYR is the symbol there, up 16%. Financials up 14%. Again, crushing the returns of technology. And then the S&P 500, obviously the benchmark that you compare everything to, up 8.7%. So you can see how the XLK really has been a laggard since mid-February. Now, we're not out of the woods yet, Joe. This is encouraging, right? It's encouraging to see large cap tech, which typically large cap will move before mid and small cap, up and down our ranking. So it's encouraging to see this happening. No idea where we go from here, but it certainly does give me enough confidence, especially since July is historically a pretty darn good month for the NASDAQ, to go out and take a look at some of the stocks in the technology sector. Matter of fact, Joe, if you'll bear with me 2 seconds, just looking down at Stock Traders Almanac for July to give people the real notes, the real numbers here, so that I'm not just talking. Post-election years, according to Stock Traders Almanac, the NASDAQ is up an average of 3.4%. Normally, it's only up 0.5%. So in post-election years, particularly, July has a tendency, and it's usually front-end loaded the first half of July, to be very, very strong for technology stocks. And then, the way I'm modeling it, Joe, probably would be, in general, would be to kind of rein in some gains in mid-July from that basket if seasonality does prove to hold true.
Yeah, so we have, scrolling down through here, there are some specific stocks. I'm guessing some of these will show up in your smattering later in this episode, if my instincts serve me right. So we will certainly get to that later. But yeah, just looking at the sector rankings this week and the best stocks by sector list that we publish once a week, there are a lot of new tech names in there. So you'll see, if you're a subscriber, if you're not, free trial below, that anything that's highlighted in that kind of golden yellow, those are new in the best rankings. So their score has dramatically improved over the past week, and there are a lot of new yellow highlighted names in tech, and we'll get to some of those later.